Hello, I call this video the Getting Started video, where I introduce the user to the SMARTree client and go through the first couple of steps in order to be up and running as smoothly and quickly as possible. So this is what the SMARTree client looks like. We've got a tab bar along the top here. We have our libraries section here, preview section down here, our main work area here, and an elements viewer down here. So there are other videos to show you the workings of using the SMARTree client, whether it's building trees from scratch, dragging snippets in here, saving your trees, running models, and doing other things such as image analysis and data reduction. So those are explained in other videos, but in this video I'm basically going to go through what you're going to be doing when you first start the software. So when you do start the software, you are likely going to see this little window pop up here. The software recognizes it's a new install and it gives you instructions on how to move forward. So if you look up here in the top first tab, you're going to see all these weird looking symbols here, and these are actually operations for Git. And in order to utilize this software in terms of data management and dissemination, you need to have Git installed. So this wizard kind of walks you through those various steps. So if you click on the first button here, what it does is it opens up the main Git site, and so you can download the software here. And so what is Git, you might ask yourself. So if you've worked in software development, you should be fairly familiar with Git. It's basically a version control platform. It's a free platform for you to manage code, and in our case, manage our smart trees. So what you're going to want to do is download this and follow the instructions, and that will download it into your Windows environment. And what you'll get is essentially a couple of different tools. You're going to get what's called Git Bash. So this is basically a shell-based emulator that allows you to run the Git commands from any command prompt inside of this Git Bash shell. You will also get the Git GUI. So if you're not familiar with the Git commands, entered on a command line, the Git GUI allows you to run those instructions using a graphical user interface. And as I mentioned, this is all embedded in the Git install. So what is this going to do? Well, this is going to allow you to create repositories of your files in the same folders that those files reside. And what you can do is you can then commit these files to these repositories, and it gives you essentially a timestamp of those files at a certain point in time, and you can then push those files up to the cloud, pull down files, and basically work in a team environment. So it's important that you install this to leverage these free features for you to be able to manage your smart trees. Because once you start editing and creating smart trees, you're going to want to have a systematic approach in how you manage all these trees and how you might want to share with others, make sure there's no version conflicts, make sure you have the latest and greatest and whatnot. So there's many levels, many reasons for which you would want this software installed. So go through that installation process, and when you're done, return to the SMARTree client. So now that you've got the software installed, the Git software installed, the next step is what you're going to want to do is you have two paths. You can basically initialize your first repository on a local directory. So or you can clone a repository from a local or remote site. So you've got two options here. So you can actually push and pull files to a local file, or you can push and pull files to a repository, or both. What I'm going to show you here is I'm going to go to the site that I have, and it's a GitLab site, and it has a wide variety of templates that are actually shown here on the left. And it's important that you get your hands on these because these are very useful templates, quickly allowing you to kind of get started where you can pull snippets of these into your own trees, and it also has materials and models and whatnot, and also some templates. So we're going to try and get this information to you. So that is done through step 2. And what that does essentially is it opens up this other window called Git Clone. So you might ask yourself, well, what is Git Clone? Well, there's a slide here that shows you kind of how this works. So I'm going to connect to a GitLab repository on site, and I'm going to clone these libraries to my desktop, to my working copy. All these other functions are what you'll be using on a daily basis once you have the clone, but what you're going to need is basically get your hands on the clone first before you do these other operations. So what are these other operations? What you're going to do is you're going to stage your files into your repository, and then you can push them from the cloud, Other people can do likewise. You can pull this information from the cloud onto your working copy, and then you have a streamlined environment from where all your SMARTrees are saved on a cloud, and where you have working copies that you can work from right here. So we're going to go through this operation in order for you to get the data that's on the GitLab site. So as I mentioned, this window right here is the Git Clone process. So you have a couple of different options here. You have the option, as I said, to connect from a site, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to connect from a remote site. You can connect from a folder, but in this case, we're going to pick from a site, and we're going to put them on a folder. So the site I have here is basically on a website, and the website link I'm going to pull up now. So in here, I have a GitLab site, and this is the site. And I obviously have registered for this site, but you can actually access those files right off of this link right here, this SMARTree units and templates. So you don't have to register. If you want to register, you can. The registration process will allow you to do basically pull and push from the site. But if you want just a download copy of the templates, they're available here. Now, in this specific example, we are actually going to clone the data. Now, cloning is a little bit different than copying, because if I click on this link right here, it takes me to all these files that you see over here. But as I said in the tutorial, I'm going to clone these, and what cloning is going to do is going to copy them to my system and allow me to keep an eye on what is the status of my files in comparison to what's on the cloud. So this is a great way to see, like, oh, the files on this site are more recent than the files I have, so I may want to pull them down. But if you didn't want to do that, you could simply click on that link and you can download them. There's actually a download button here, and you can download those files without ever having to have registered with this site. But I am going to register because I'm going to show you the cloning operation. So to register, you can register right here, and that's a pretty straightforward process. And I'm just going to sign in because I have an account already on here. Now, the way this works is it's going to use two-factor authentication. That is to protect your user account and also to protect the site. So I'm just going to log in right now with a 6-digit code and get into the site. So now I'm in the site, and you can see in here, once again, I have access to these files and I could download them. But there's more information available to you now. You can actually have access to this link right here, and this link is an important link. This is a secure shell link in order for me to connect to this data. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to copy this link right here, and there's a copy button, and I'm going to go back to my software and pull up my clone window, which is right here, and I can paste the link right here. Just hit paste data. So that will allow me to pull this down. But there's one step missing in order for this to work. This is a secure shell link. Now, we have not yet established a secure shell link between this site and my machine. So what I'm going to do is establish one now. And this is basically a one-time operation, and that is done under settings. So if I click on settings, it opens up a third window, and this window basically allows me to create these keys that allow you to publish to sites and clone from sites. So in here, you're going to enter your name, you're going to enter an email, and once you're done, you're going to hit this generate button. And what this does is it generates these two keys, okay? And the key you're going to want to be able to connect to that site is this public key. And you can click the copy button right here, and it says copy to clipboard. Then you're going to go back to the site right here, and in your profile on the top left, you're going to go to your profile, and you'll see in here your settings. In here, you're going to see an SS key on the left. And what you can do is you can actually paste this key right in here and hit add key. Now, I've already added this key in here. It's actually right here. But once you hit add key, you're going to see a key right here. It's going to tell you when it's created. You have then established a key to that computer from this site. So that's basically how that works. As I said, you do the generate option to generate this key, you copy the key, and you put it on the site. So now you have a secure shell connection between this client and the cloud. So once you're done that, you can just close this window and go back to this clone window. So now I have the connection made. And the final thing is I now need to click the Git repository that I would like to have on my machine and figure out a place. Where do I want to put it? So I'm going to put it in an empty folder. I'm going to create an empty folder here under SMARTree. I'm just going to create an empty folder just under Git, repositories, maybe some test folders here. I've got a bunch of folders in here. I'll just create a new folder called SMARTree libraries. I'll just change my caps. So here's a new folder, and I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put that information right here, select folder. So there it is. So once you're done, this clone button becomes active because now you have all the information you need. You have a Git repository that I'm going to pull from this site, and here's where I'm going to put it. So once I do that, I hit the clone button, and what it's doing right now is it's downloading those files to that particular folder. And once that's done, you may see a window pop up saying downloading. Once that's done, this window will close. And what happens then is you can actually go to that folder, and it will then populate these trees right here. So that's basically the process by which you can get started in starting your basically getting access to these files and being ready to go in your daily operations with the SMARTree client. Thank you.